I really don't think I deserve it, and I actually start sabotaging myself.
Self-confidence can have an extreme of arrogance or delusion.
The more you understand your value, the more you're willing to step out and do stuff, and you don't care if you fail. A lot of people don't understand who they've been meant to be.
Welcome back to another episode of the New Rules Podcast. It's your girl, Breezy. And every time I do that, Mr. Adrian Crawford, our lovely host, mocks me. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Very nice. I see you. Nice little winter fit on today.
Yeah, I'm in my winter fit. I got the nice chair. You got the bummy chair.
I know. You got the nice chair, you know. I'm used to it.
Oh my God. Yikes.
No, it's all good. It is all good. It is, it's getting wintertime. You know, well, we live in Florida, so what we call winter. So, but
it's like 50 degrees. We're in vests.
Yeah, 100%.
Layers.
Yeah, I grew up in the north, but I'm fully a Florida boy now. So, yeah. But then, so what you been up to?
You know what? I don't even know what I've been up to because for those of you who don't know, I'm a 25-year-old with the spine of a retired construction worker.
Yes, she does. Yeah.
And so the past few days for me have just been like, wake up, get through the day, stand up a few times, walk around a few times.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you getting help with that?
I am.
Yeah.
Dr. Farah, just a shout out, Dr. Farah, if you're listening to this, or Stacy, you're listening to this, let them know. Yeah. I have had like these sciatica, like crazy back issues for a really long time because of cheerleading. And I've seen chiropractors, physical therapists, surgeons, like the whole nine. And I don't think it was until just now with Dr. Farah that I really started getting the proper care. He's very holistic. He's also not like woo woo, you know, he's not completely necessarily on the side of herbs either. Is he an MD?
No, he's a nurse practitioner.
Okay. Yeah.
So nurse practitioner, and he opened up his own kind of concierge medicine spot that he's doing. And so, again, he's somebody I go to as well. He has been super helpful. He's very helpful for me when I was diagnosed with Graves, and I went to Mayo Clinic, and then I started getting with him. And so, man, he just helped me. You know, honestly, he's probably the best, like, hell shape everything I've been in the last several years. And so, man, I owe a lot of credit to him, and he's out there, you know. And again, somebody's writing the rules, decided to kind of get out of the typical space and start something that was kind of new. And again, I love it, man. When I go there, I know, like, man, I don't ever sit in the lobby. I mean, I'm there for as long as I ever sat in the lobby is like 3 to 4 minutes or something like that, if that. Normally it's there, boom, they get you. That's kind of what he cares about. It's a new model. So to having to go sit in a doctor's office and go through all that. And what he also cares about that I love about him is like he's not arrogant that he has to have all the answers. I mean, he's like, he's just about finding the answers and then getting you to the right people. But I'm having real care for you. So, man, he's a great dude and does a great job.
Yeah, if you're local to Tallahassee, check out Pathway Wellness. Not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored, but they should. Shout out, Doc. Come on, man. Get a little sponsorship.
Okay, so before we get into today's topic, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions just for funsies.
Yep.
Okay, so when we get all the time, how tall are you?
6'6".
Ooh. If your life had a theme song, what would it be?
Wow, that's a really, really, really good question. Toby and the Wigway, We Got Next.
Ooh. I wasn't expecting you to say that.
I know. I mean, that's the first thing that came to mind, so I went with it. And if I thought about it deep enough, I would think a little bit, you know, there'd definitely be a Jay-Z song that's in there.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
Yeah. Story of OJ, maybe.
That's funny. What's a risk that you've taken that has paid off?
Moving back to Tallahassee.
Ooh. What's one productivity hack you swear by?
Work your days and themes. Like, I have themes for my days instead of like, okay, I have to do this. I try to work. I have to have themes for each one of my days. That actually helps me like be able to be focused and get done what I need to get done.
If you could design your home, what's one feature it would absolutely have?
Cigar humidor, like a completely cigar humidor. I could be in there.
I wasn't expecting that one either.
Yeah, I would definitely have like my own, like it has humidor, has all stuff, and it's like, I mean, it'll be its own like man cave. I could have cigars in there. It just would be my own thing. Ventilation, unbelievable. The whole deal. Yes.
Nice. What's one experience that is still on your bucket list?
Ooh. Going to either Turkey to go to visit where they found the city of Ephesus, going to Israel, or going to Italy with my wife. One of those three.
Why?
I have really been compelled always by just this, like when I study like the Bible, like the city of Ephesus, I think it was a very significant city during that time. And as you as I've looked at it, like just all the intricate underground things that were there, I think going to Israel, just because again, a lot of things I read in the Bible is right there, and then they have just so many great tours you can actually see it. And I heard that when you do that, you'll never read like the Bible. You read the Bible differently. Italy, just because I've always wanted to go there. And we've always wanted to go there, and that was kind of one of was one of our goals to actually do that. I've always wanted to go like the Lake Como and stuff like that. So that's where that would be it.
Nice. Thanks for sharing.
Glad to. What would be your theme song in life?
Ooh, probably Suddenly I See. You know the song that plays in all the rom-coms?
Oh my.
What is it? Who sing that song?
Hold up. Let me look while we're sitting here. Suddenly
when you
I
hear
see.
it, you're going to be like, you know what? That makes complete sense.
Suddenly I See. All right, hold on for the people. I'm actually looking this up right now. By Katie Tunstall. Let me see. Is this it?
Yeah, you know this song. Like, this would be the opening to my biography. Yeah.
Oh my.
I'm in New York City. It's so Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah. All right, so here's another song. What is a song that you listen to that you just are like, I feel like you're for you, I'm the toughest person on the planet when I listen to this song?
Ooh, probably No Flockin' by Kodak.
Oh. So for those who do not know.
Kodak, so sad. Young.
I got old spazzing on it. I got.
Oh, the hood.
I just bought a new old jacket. That is if you from Florida, I mean,
every word.
That's like, dude, that's like literally, that should be like
passage.
That should be the state anthem.
It
right
really
there.
should be.
It really be. Here's what I was thinking. My friend asked me, they were like, if there was one song as a dude that makes you become so incredibly sassy, what song would it be? And I was wrestling, but I think it's got to be this one.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Hey, super sassy when this happens. Anyway, all right.
We are live on the air right now.
All right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So what was your
and people, if anybody does this and they got an issue with this because of Diddy and Cassie, every time we play this, listen, every time we play this, Cassie getting bread off of this, all right? So don't be, listen, I'm honoring her for her art. I don't want no Diddy haters in my comments, all right? I don't agree with nothing that Diddy did or anything like that. Gosh, like that's the world we live in that just makes me so frustrated. That like I've got to you have to no. Of course, if somebody listens to something, oh, you're supporting that? No, you moron. I'm not supporting what he did. I'm like, but to say that he didn't make good music, who are we? We got to cancel everybody. I mean, literally everybody. There's been I don't see anybody out there everybody saying that with your little Chanel bags and stuff like that when she was sleeping with Nazis. But hey, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it's freaking crazy. Anyway, sorry. I'm spicy today. All right, what we got?
Okay, well, I was wondering what is on your, because you don't use Spotify, which is
Whatever.
But you're a little Apple. What do they call it? Apple wrapped. They don't have their new name. They don't come up with their own new name.
Shout out to Apple Music out there for the real ones, not the
Boo.
sheep.
Boo.
all you sheep out there on Spotify.
Sheep.
Yeah, just following.
Who did Apple get the wrapped from?
No, Apple. It's not called Apple Rap. It's called.
Who did Apple get the annual analysis from?
They got it for themselves.
Spotify.
No, they didn't.
Spotify's
buns.
No.
All right. What are you asking? What's on my thing?
Yeah.
Well, let me see. Where was that? Oh, part of it is because I have like a family thing. So like, there's times where I'm like, there's things on mine. I'm like, I know I can listen to that. Like one for sure. No, one for sure. I don't listen to like my son. Loves his number 1, 2, and 3 are freaking Rod Wave. I do not listen to
You like Rod Wave?
I do not. I listen to one song by Rod Wave. Whatever his first one that was really popular. That's it. I do not listen to Rod Wave.
What love songs for the streets? What?
No, that's Dirk.
Oh.
That's Dirk.
Whoops.
Man. I was about to say Free Dirk, but I don't know. I think Dirk did something bad. So no, Rod Wave is what song is it? We are just off the rocker today, aren't we, Bri? Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Everybody getting all type of music today on the pod. Yeah. So, anyway, but I think
Mama said it's my fault. It's my fault.
I think for me, the ones that definitely, like, I'll just go ahead and use my own, like, Denzel Curry. The Mischievous, I think it's like the Mischievous Something of the South. Like, that entire album is phenomenal. So Denzel Curry got listened to a lot this year. Kendrick Lamar got listened to. Kendrick definitely got listened to a lot. Yeah, it's the King of the Mischievous South is what that one is. And then I think another one was I'm definitely gonna have like Maverick City Music and stuff like that's gonna be in there. And the fourth one, Big X the Plug. Take Care, incredible album. So those are kind of mine. So anyway, yeah.
Nice.
What was your number one? Sabrina Carpenter or Billie Eilish. So those top two.
No.
Okay, who was it?
Billie Eilish.
Exactly, Billie Eilish.
I was in Billie Eilish top 2% of listeners. Mostly because once she dropped the new album, I think I listened to her for like 30 straight days.
Yeah,
I
ain't
that
gonna
bumped
lie.
her to the front.
That song definitely would have worked its way into my sassy Birds of a Feather.
Yeah.
That thing goes.
He kind of bumps Birds of a Feather.
I definitely do in the car. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He does. Birds of a Feather was, and then One Direction.
It was a One Direction song, The Doxology, and then Frank Ocean, and then Billie Eilish, and then this like Spanish, a bunch of Spanish music.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But talk about that range, The Doxology and Frank Ocean.
Yeah, that definitely is a lot.
I had some Tyler the Creator.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be interested with Lauren, like yours. Like when you said something like that, I was like, I'm surprised there's not just some like random, like, just kind of like, just like hippie type of band. That's just like, they're.
Like a lot of like, do you know who Fred again is?
Definitely not.
Fred again's like house music, like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like clubbish house music, and then it's like this band called Hermanos Gutierrez, and it's just like instrument, like fancy guitar, like kind of Western Hispanic.
You're so.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you this, man. If you don't know, the one thing you know about our producer, Lauren, is this, man. Like, I am so thankful for God and Jesus in her life, because not, she would just be floating around the world right now, just living.
In a bubble.
Yeah, from hostel to hostel. Like,
When Alan was helping me set this up, we were talking about monks, and I was like, Alan, like, you don't get it. Like, monks have the best, like, that's like peak life. Right? Like, I would love to be a monk.
oh my gosh. All right. Well, hey, you guys are getting just the raw uncut of a long day of us doing this. Bri's back is on fire. I've been in meeting
just
upon
on
meeting.
Fire.
Yes, on fire. Just on fire. I've been in meeting upon meeting today. Lauren's been over there editing things all day. And so, yeah. So you're getting us into the day. But what we're gonna talk about today, Bri? We kind of go freestyle a little bit today?
Yeah.
All right. What we got?
Today, well, not freestyle.
Okay.
I guess we've already been freestyling.
We have been
yeah,
freestyling,
technically. But today we're going to talk about enough already.
Enough already. Yeah.
It's a topic you've been working on self-confidence versus self-worth. So can you just share with us the genesis of the topic?
Yeah, it was because I had a trip that I had mentioned on the pod I was supposed to be going on, and I had that trip going to meet probably an author who really just helped change my life. And there's the privilege to go spend time with him. And then I was going to actually, I'm planning on getting a tattoo. So I found the tattoo artist I wanted. He's out in California. So I had this whole trip planned. And then unfortunately, someone who's near and dear to us, they had a death in their family. And so I had to help with the funeral. And so I, at the end of it, I was thinking back, I had a lot of anxiety before going on this trip. And I started asking myself, man, why is that? And I've been having anxiety a lot when I travel, but it's not because I'm like afraid of something happening or something happening to my family or whatever. But I started thinking a little bit deeper about it. And as I started thinking deeper, I was kind of relieved I didn't go on that trip. And I'm like, why? I'm getting a chance to meet someone who, like, most people don't get a chance to, like, shake their hands or talk to people who've really been their heroes from a distance or done that. But I realized that as I was thinking through it, that every time I feel like I'm going to take another phase and step in my life, I really don't actually think I deserve it. And I actually start sabotaging myself. I start looking for reasons not to do the thing. And what I started realizing is why. It's like, am I scared? Am I, do I think I'm going to like mess something up or whatever? But it's just like, I started realizing I don't feel like I'm worthy, valuable to actually do those things. And so, and I have all this fear that if I do those things, it's going to change me. If I start going in certain circles, then all of a sudden I'm going to become like arrogant, conceited, whatever. And I just have all these fears around it. And I started realizing, man, why in the world do I not have a greater self-worth? So I started studying this idea of self-worth, self-confidence. And so this idea of like enough already kind of came from there.
How would you define self-worth versus self-confidence?
Well, I am glad you asked that. Kind of really the definition of
that was funny.
Is this, no, self-worth is this, the belief that you're inherently enough and valuable. Self-confidence is how you feel about your abilities in specific areas. So self-worth, and we'll have Lauren right now when I do this, boom, she'll pop it right there, is the idea that the belief that you are inherently enough and valuable. Self-confidence, how you feel about your abilities in specific areas.
So I'm just going to dive right in. So self-worth is the belief that you're inherently valuable, and self-confidence is more about the belief in your specific skills. We actually talked about this in our team Culture Creators today, and something that came up pretty consistently was the idea that, like, if I had better self-worth, I wouldn't be as competitive or I wouldn't be as driven as what I currently am. And in a sense, that kind of overemphasizes the power of having a poor self-worth. When I do believe that if you have a better self-worth, you can actually create more impact than having less self-worth that leads to maybe you doing a little bit more tasks throughout the day or having more of a competitive drive. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's retelling and reframing how you think about it. I think a lot of times reason why we have to have that edge or that drive is because it could be personal survival, or it could be just personal approval. I actually believe when you have healthy self-worth, where you will land at in this process is that you actually will begin to now the motivational change, and actually it'll start being about people. I still think you'll be competitive, but you're not being competitive for yourself. You're being competitive for, man, I need to get this done. I need to see this impact or whatever, because if I do, the level of like impact it can have on people, I think that's changed. A lot of the stuff, chip on the shoulder, all that stuff, it's usually about us versus saying, man, if I really realize, well, if I get this or not, I'm fine. But I want this because I know if I do this thing, if I create this opportunity, I know if I continue to climb, in this workplace, if I know if, man, in my family, if I continue to fight and try to build right habits within my family, on and on, it impacts more people. And so I think the fuel changes, because here's what I'll tell you. That's why when people are never satisfied, they get to a certain point, they'll say, man, if I ever make this much money or have this thing, and then they get there and they're not satisfied. It's because you were at the end of it versus other people. I think human beings are made, when we find great satisfaction, is when others are at the end of it. They're the point in that, because I believe that's how we've been hardwired and designed, actually in our healthiest sense.
Just to have a little bit better picture of both of them, who is somebody that we all might know that you admire that has good self-worth, and who is somebody who has good self-confidence?
It's a great question. Self-confidence, Kanye West. Like, even though but incredible amounts of self-confidence, which again, that goes to his mother I think she really, really instilled that kind of like in him. But he just believes in his skill set and his ability. He always has, when you watch the documentaries and things like that, he always has. So he's somebody who has natural, I'll use him as self-confidence. Somebody who I think has really good, like, I think self-worth. Did I mention somebody earlier today? I'm trying to think about that. Okay. This is a really good question that people would know. I actually think Steph Curry does.
That's a great example.
Yeah, I think Steph Curry understands, like, man, who he is. I think he understands what he does. I think he works at it. I think that's why he can, like, again, he probably, I don't know him personally, but he probably wrestles with a lot of stuff. I'm not saying it's perfect, but like he seems, and when you watch him, he's okay with who he is and what he does, and just kind of what he builds and how he plays and all the stuff like that. And so I would probably say he's somebody who I would think has good self-worth.
So self-confidence can have an extreme of arrogance or delusion. Like, I think Kanye West was kind of a great example of that, where you can see the far extreme of levels of arrogance. How do you develop proper self-worth without going to a place of arrogance or delusion?
That's great. I think community. I think people. I think that you have to have the right community of people around you who help you. I think another thing is just continue to get a greater level of self-awareness. There's nothing wrong with, like, let's use Steph Curry as an example, right? Man, when it's all said and done, because of the work, right? Like he understands, like, man, he is one of the best shooters, the best shooter to ever play. There's been evidence of that, right? So again, when I say that, like, that's a skill set, that's confidence, right? He should have all the type of confidence in the world in that, because he's shown over and over again that that's something he does. How I think you do it, I think, one, you have to have people around you, because I think when you can get delusional, really close people tell you, whoa, you're kind of, no, that may not be who you are, or hey, you're kind of thinking everything, because that's what happens. Sometimes people start thinking they're expert in everything. That's another way you become aware. You realize, man, you're not an expert. I've been around people like that where, like, they think just because they're good in one thing that they're experts in, like, every other thing right there. So I think I think community is incredibly important to understand that. I think the second thing is always, like we always say this, digging into your motives of, like, your response. Or when you walk into a room, are you always having to be someone who is explaining or telling, or always, like, kind of like, it's kind of like double dutch. You can't wait to tell somebody, like, what you do, or how something that impressive that you have actually brought or done or whatever. I think those become when you start to get, like, either delusional or kind of like getting out of your lane, versus, like, real people with real good self-worth. They can walk in a room and never really say anything. They can walk in a room and ask a bunch of questions. That's when someone's really got really good self-worth. It's like by the questions they consistently ask people.
Okay, so if you had to rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you rank yourself on self-worth and self-confidence?
I would say probably self-worth a 3, self-confidence now probably like 4, 3.5, 4.
So focusing on self-worth, you've always been pretty open on how you wrestle and your perspective or your self-view. What is it that happened recently? I know you mentioned traveling, but can you explain a little bit more about what really made it click at the level that you don't have
there? I think I started realizing how there's been so much evidence in my life in certain things that I do, to where once I do it, it's all, like, because I think, the whole idea, we've been talking about this, like, the Erwin McManus from his 7 Freaks of Maven, like, I see the world differently. So sometimes, because I do look at the world differently, there's things I will say or do or communicate, and it doesn't, like, sometimes doesn't resonate with people because I'm thinking about something way ahead, and I begin to second guess myself a lot, right? And then over years, I've just seen things that I've felt and thought. A lot of times I have, like, a pretty good track record of those things happening. And it finally hit me. I'm like, I always am just waiting and second guessing things all the time, because I actually don't think that, I'm like, why do I do that? And it's because I want people to approve of it, because my whole life has been that. I mean, I go from the time, I could literally, my conscious thought is like, I was around basketball. So everything is about it's about getting an approval. It's about getting a grade. It's about getting, oh man, you did this, you go watch film, great job. Please, I don't want to watch film because that was a bad play. It's all about that. School, it's all about you getting graded. Going beyond that, then I get into the idea of, one of the things is being a communicator. People are always, you're performing, at some level, you're up there doing that. Everything has been that. So now I'm always looking outside of myself to find value and worth. And our system is made that way. Now, again, I'm not one of those people who's not for capitalism and things like that. I believe there's a difference. You have a skill set and there's a value they put on that skill set. But just because you have a value for your skill set does not mean you personally, intrinsically as a human, you're less worth than someone else. So the fact of the matter, though, there's a higher worth for LeBron James for his talent, right, than me or you or someone else. That still does not mean he's a more valuable person than I am, because of the fact of he has his things that he's doing, you have yours, I have mine, Lauren has hers, that we actually are bringing to the world that we're supposed to do. I think every human is created with intrinsic value, and so I believe that's really important. And so as I've been noticing these things, I'm like, why do I have to keep having people to approve of things that I've seen so many times over and over again? I'm waiting for approval of stuff that I know ends up happening. So it ends up becoming about them versus no, just I feel like I have value and I'm going to do that. Because I think the more you understand your value, the more you're willing to step out and do stuff, and you don't care if you fail. You don't care if you get it wrong. You don't care what people think in a good way, not in an F the world type thing, but no, you just don't, you're like, no, man, I'm okay because this is what I know I'm supposed to do.
What are you practicing to grow your self-worth?
I think honestly, really trying to capture my thoughts a lot. Trying to think, what am I thinking about? I'm trying to do a much better job, even simple things of when I communicate, right? Only a few people I'm asking, hey, what could I have done better? Da, da, da. I'm not asking a bunch of people anymore. I used to be because that was a lot about approval, whatever. I think another thing that I'm doing is that I'm just not apologizing for stuff that I actually am that I'm not prefacing things, trying my best not to preface things that I know that I have a very high level of expertise in. I'm not going to people who may, hey, just in case, or just hey, whatever you think. No, I really on certain things, I don't I think it's just ingenuous sometimes. Because I think we do that from a leadership standpoint. Hey, well, whatever you think. When I'm I literally do not care. Because whatever they're going to say to me isn't going to be it's not going to help in this situation. But there are things that 100% will help. So I think it's just learning to be more confident in that. And also the other thing I'm trying to do is walk in rooms and make sure when I'm in a room, I am not trying to, when I'm in a room with other people who may not know me, or other rooms where people quote unquote have titles or whatever, I'm trying not to be the one to say all of what I do. I'm trying to go in there and just ask questions, because I think that's teaching me more and more. No, I'm fine regardless if they know whatever about me.
What's something that all of your life you thought, once I get there, I will feel like I am worth it?
I feel like once I got to one was financial security. Two, I thought that the things that I were doing were in the top levels of whatever. The third one, honestly, was I thought I'd be good if I was the absolute best at whatever thing that would be. Where there's oh no, you were one of one in this area, or whatever that thing would be. Those are when I felt if I did that, then I'd be good to go.
You said that your purpose statement is to unlock authenticity. Is that still the verbiage that you use?
Yep.
As you've grown in self-worth, how has your view of what it means to unlock authenticity changed?
It has made me realize that, one, that I actually, it's enhanced it more, because it's made me realize that a lot of people don't actually really understand who they've been meant to be. And so because of that, they're not aware. And I think if you're not aware, then what happens, you can never really see because our worth is many times buried under all types of crap. So I think that understanding what you do well, what you are, is kind of it's like a thread that leads to the idea of your worth. So it's made me enhance that even more. It's made me, honestly, all it just has done, it's made me just more confident in things that I know that I have a competency in. It's also made me shut up in things I don't like, and being like okay with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, me and you've been talking about this, like where, you know, like we'll be in certain things to where like I'm really good, like in the moment, like I can just feel things out or whatever. You do a really good job of helping me. Like, hey, like we were working with the client recently and you're like, listen, and I can get in there and just feel the moment, be like, no, we need to make sure we say this. And so a lot of times there's a greater level of strategy. So for me, I'm like, nope. And that's why I'm leaning on you. It's like, hey, what do you think? And you're like this. And I'm like, okay, then let's go with that. Because I already know, like, I can be in the moment and make it happen, but you do a better job of catching the information. Hey, here's what we need to do. And then I go in and execute those types of things like that. But it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, no, I totally understand that. Or like, man, like there's some things within that's shifting in our organization where I'm giving more power to people. And I'm like, nope, I'm totally fine with that. Because I've realized that I have to do what I do, but what I do, I realize like there's no one that I feel like can do that. And I think the things we're heading into, I don't think there's too many people that can do that. And so, yeah. And so I feel
But
like,
wouldn't that part be self-confidence?
So
But then there's a part that kind of blends together.
Yeah, it's self-confidence, but it's now I think when you understand your worth, you're able to bring your confidence and your skill set of what you do even more. Because here's the thing, the greater self, you're not hedging your bets. You're not like, okay, like, well, maybe I'm kind of like whatever. Now it's like, no, I'm just like, nope, this is what I see. Blah, 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 right? Or, hey, you know, in some of the
you're not afraid of failure.
Yeah, not afraid of failure. Some of the new work that we're about to do, we're pivoting a lot of stuff that we're doing in our business. And it's like, oh, no, because I do see this. And I do understand, like, I've been down this road, and I do think I could be and our team can be incredibly successful at doing the stuff that we're getting ready to do because there's been evidence of that. But now I'm not, like, hedging that because I'm like, well, what if I don't do that? What if this happens? What about this? Or I don't want to say that because if I say it, then what are people going to, like, think? So a lot of times I don't share things with people because I'm so worried about what they're going to think if they're going to deny me or not, versus realizing like it's reframing it. Like, okay, that's fine. Maybe it wasn't for them. Or you know what? Also look at, well, man, you know what? Even if I didn't phrase it right, it's a learning experience. I mean, I can get better at that. How can I rephrase that next? Instead of everything looking like it's a loss, you know what I'm saying?
How would your life look differently if you had a 5 out of 5 on self-worth?
A lot more people would be walking in a lot more things. I think that's what kind of haunts me a little bit about it, because I think so many times I've hedged things out of and have been slow on things because I've been waiting for like approval. I've been waiting for things to start to happen. So like, yeah, look, it's there, versus saying like, no, whether if you see it or not. I think there'll be more things. I think the organization will be farther ahead. But I also know this is my process. And here's the thing, because I've had to wrestle through all of this, I actually think it's going to help a lot of people because I believe I can actually help them get ahead of this a lot faster. I look at all of you as we sit in our culture creators and like the stuff that you guys are learning through just trial, error, whatever, in your 20s or early 30s. Man, you're so much farther ahead. So I always say I would go through it again because what I've had to do, I've had to dig through it and learn it on my own. So I've had to go through all the stuff versus it being like, oh, someone just taught it to me. It's like, no, I've had to go. So that's why I think at times when I'm communicating, there seems like it's a little bit deeper. It seems like there's wisdom there because I've had to actually walk through it, practice it, figure it out. That doesn't work. And I don't try to give you like prescription. I just say, I try to get like, oh, here's just, here are themes you're looking for. And then because I really want you all to really unpack it yourself. I don't want to cheapen it for you. Hey guys, I hope today was actually helpful for you. Thank you for letting me freestyle a little bit. You got a little insight into our crazy side of our lives, but and our personalities. But here's what I'm going to encourage you. If you want to go deeper into this idea of self-worth, self-value, there's a book that was written called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima. And so she's a billionaire, sold her company, I think to L'Oreal, but she talks a lot about this idea of worth. And so again, it's something that I was able to dive into a little bit to learn more about the idea of self-worth, self-confidence. And the challenge is this: reframe. When somebody says no or failures, the one thing she talks a lot about is reframing how you see failure. Not seeing it as it's something about you, but actually it is, man, there's an opportunity to learn. It's not just, man, you aren't good at this or you don't have the intelligence. And maybe it's like, oh no, this is a way that I can tweak this. Oh, this is a learning experience, whatever it is. Because if you really dive into it, one of our friends today in Culture Creator said this. He was like, if you really look at it, when you learn from something, it's never really a loss because you always have an opportunity to get better. And until next time, keep writing new rules.